DGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Find advice for both daily and traditional leagues, including which players to start and sit with the NFL Fantasy Forecast. Saturday mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Anytime. Anytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into another edition of Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp, and Cole Taylor's shoe. Never before in LSU history has a piece of equipment been quite so important, I think. We calling it equipment or we calling it an accessory? Uniform piece. Never before has a uniform piece been so important to the outcome of a game as Cole Taylor's shoe. You know, in the LSU Hall of Fame, they ought to ask Cole Taylor, look, just, you know, we wish you the best. Cole Taylor put himself in the transfer portal this morning. That's why I'm talking about this. I say, look, man, best of luck in your future endeavors. Played a lot of football for LSU, primarily as a blocker. But when you say Cole Taylor's shoe, I mean, that's Cole Taylor's shoe won him the game at Florida. I mean, how many guys can say they went and won a game at the University of Florida? It's like I don't know, some of the stars of LSU. Guys that were great players, and Cole Taylor's shoe. Transfer portal season all over the place. So since we left you, LSU's had some more entries into the transfer portal, and also another roster. What will be a roster move by? Let me go in order from when we get off thing. I'm like carrying this legal pad around with me now, so just write it down. Most people put it in their phones, but I'm old. So Jay Ward yesterday said that he was going to be moving on to the NFL draft, and good for Jay Ward. Jay Ward's been a really good player for LSU. He's had some of the more outstanding moments when you go back to the Arkansas game or the Florida game. He's made some really big plays for LSU. Was never, an All-American or anything like that, but he's just one of those guys came in there and, hey, you need to play some corner, play some corner. You need to play some safety, you play some safety. You need him to play some nickel, he could play some nickel. You need to play on special teams, he plays on special teams. Those kind of guys that are invaluable, was always dependable because he was always in the lineup, even when there were lots of injuries around him. And he's played for 4 years. He could have another year left if he wanted, but he's going to decide to move on. So, good for him. Best of luck to Jay Ward. Radarius Jones, who missed the entire 2022 season, put himself in the transfer portal, played in 13 games over 2 years, really was not a part of, obviously couldn't be a part of their plans this year since he was out, not really sure what his role would have been moving forward. And Desmond Little also, who played in 14 games in his LSU career, had 2.5 sacks. I was kind of hoping that that would be one of those guys in the spring that would get a long look and see, as he's getting to be an older player now, that he would blossom. That, I thought there was some pass rush potential there, and that it would blossom. Didn't happen. So he's going to be moving on as well. And Cole Taylor, who was used primarily as a blocking tight end, will always have the infamous night with the shoe. So the numbers keep climbing. The numbers are going to climb. This is not over with at all as far as the transfer portal. LSU is going to have some more. I was encouraged by the fact they didn't have a gigantic flood of 12 to 15 people on the very first day. But I'm also realistic to know that this is not the end, and you're seeing a lot of player movement at pretty much every school in the Southeastern Conference. So this is LSU's latest. I think the thing that we're waiting to hear is what Jaden Daniels' plans are. What Jaden Daniels' plans are for next year, what his plans are for the spring, what his plans are for the bowl game. Is he going to be back? I'll still maintain I think he is going to be back. That is only my guess, my opinion, but I do think that he'll return to LSU. What his status will be, for the bowl game, I couldn't tell you. But LSU in pretty good shape overall. This was not a mass exodus of players that were expected to be starters next year. And for the most part, I think you could kind of predict a lot of these, and some of the ones that are coming, you can kind of tell. It's when the starters, the guys that can be all Southeastern Conference, end up on a division opponent that it really bothers you. For these guys, hey, they probably will, find more playing time at their next destination, and so that's okay. That's cool. But we're all waiting on a couple of key guys, and Keyshawn Boutte coming back earlier in the week was obviously the biggest one, where you would say, okay, hey, that's those ones where you come and say, oh, that's a surprise good or a surprise bad. Well, they got a surprise good. I don't know that they've had a real surprise bad, where you look up and go, oh man, I don't want that guy to leave. Some that had some potential, but oh man, I didn't want that guy to leave. Mike Scarborough will be with us here in about 10 minutes. He's going to set up the recruiting weekend for LSU. The Tigers are getting back to practice, and also the latest things that he's hearing on the transfer portal, both in and out for LSU. At the bottom of the hour, Oleh Kosel from the Bird Rights is going to be with us today for the first time since when, Mario? The New Orleans Pelicans are in first place in the Western Conference. Not just the division, the entire conference. If the playoffs started today, don't you love those? If the playoffs started today, it's December. The playoffs don't start till April. But if the playoffs started today, your New Orleans Pelicans would be the number one seed. Quick, Mario, when's the last time the Pelicans were, at any point, the number one seed in the Western Conference, in first place?
Number one, I'd say probably 2009.
2008. Very good. Yeah, it's been a minute since they have been the best team. And if you watched last night's game against the Detroit Pistons, which they again played without Brandon Ingram, they again played without Herb Jones. It was for a while there the Zion Williamson show, because if you watch the end of the first half where he scored the last 10 points and he just about took over the deal. And for the second time in less than a week, he had, what should have been called a flagrant foul, but was taken to the floor. Earlier in the week, they got DeAndre Jordan on what was a flagrant foul. And he grabbed him around the waist, and Zion went to the floor. They called Jordan for an egregious foul. Now, he didn't slam him to the floor. He didn't, he didn't go wrestling, World Wrestling Federation on him. World Wrestling Entertainment. Didn't go all WWE on him, but he did bring him to the floor. So last night, Zion going to go unstoppable. There's no way. You at some point when he gets up ahead of steam, your best chance is just to hope he misses the shot, because you're not going to stop that guy with the head of steam. So he goes down to the ground, and he wasn't hurt, but it wasn't that he couldn't been. Here comes Najee Marshall, and Najee Marshall comes over, and he's pushing Pistons out of the way, and he's like, okay. And he said it. He said to the referee, there's a courtside mic that picked it up. Like, they hit my guy, I'm coming for him. I loved it, man. Zion Williamson at this point in his career is being treated an awful lot like. Are you watching the Shaquille documentary? Okay, it's in multiple parts. I think they've released 2. I've seen just about all of it, but I lived through that. Okay, where Shaquille O'Neal would get fouled literally every time down the floor. I'm not exaggerating. Every time down the floor, and it was impossible to call every foul, or the other team would have fouled out. Shaquille put up with that for 3 years at LSU until Carlos Groves almost took him to the ground, and Dale Brown went out ready to fight a 6'8", 20-year-old guy, because Dale had enough. Williamson gets, a lot of the. He's not as tall as O'Neal, obviously, but he's every bit the physical force that Shaquille was at that time. So what do? I don't want to say you get dirty, but sometimes you get dirty. And in the interest of not getting him hurt, Najee Marshall goes over there and says, I ain't putting up with this. In hockey, they call them goons, okay? You hit our star player, we're sending – they don't do it as much anymore. But in the old – we're sending a goon. Every team had a goon. He was the guy that was going to go out. You better not get within 10 feet of Wayne Gretzky, okay? You hit Gretzky, we're sending a goon. You hit Lemieux, we're sending a goon. You hit Williamson, and I'm not going to call – I'd rather call him an enforcer because goon – it's a negative. It's a hockey term, okay? It's not the best moniker, but enforcer, yeah, I'm gonna use that one. It was another indication of the closeness of this team, and Williamson was talking about it after the game. He said, "Yeah, man, that's my dog. He's looking out for me." That the Pelicans have been able to do this while pacing themselves through the injuries to Brandon Ingram and earlier C.J. McCollum and now Herb Jones. And last night, a scary moment with Jose Alvarado where he takes a shot. And I don't know, watching it, I thought he broke a rib. Watching the pain that he was in, I'm like, oh, man, he broke a rib. Went back, took the x-rays, and he was, nothing was broken. And he came out to the bench, and he's rooting and getting on. These guys like each other. They look like a true team. You say, well, yeah, they're all paid. No, it doesn't happen automatically. Goodness knows they've had enough rosters that they threw together that in no way resembled a team. These guys like each other. You see the hush that came over kind of the courtside area, even up into the stands when Alvarado got hurt. It was like, oh, man. Hope nothing happened to Jose because he's having a great year. He's one of their glue guys. He's one of their spark guys. Marshall's got his role. You've got your superstars. You got your bigs. You got your defenders. Okay, Dyson Daniels doing a pretty good Herb Jones impersonation these days, right? They're fun to watch. Oleh Kosel from the Bird Writes is with us at the bottom of the hour. So we'll do some LSU football, recruiting and transfer portal stuff with Mike Scarborough next. Pelicans at the bottom of the hour. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Well, it's the holiday season, and if you are planning on you're the cook, you're setting the menu, we hope you include Supreme Rice. Supreme Rice, since the 1930s has been delighting their customers down in southwest Louisiana. All of our Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed right here in Louisiana. So pick up a bag the next time you are in any of your AG food stores, any of your Walmarts, any of your Rouses, any of your Winn-Dixies. Whether you get the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine, you're going to stretch your food dollar and enjoy really kind of a limitless selection of different dishes that you can use for them. Rice dressing during the holidays, gumbos, etouffees. Really anything that you're going to make with rice, make it with Supreme Rice. You're going to stretch your food dollar, and it's going to be a delicious product. For more information and some unique recipes, go to supremerice.com.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Coming up on Friday's OTB, Jake Hester joins us live from Philly at Army-Navy. Plus, preview the #1 Pelicans against the #2 Suns in a brand new Degen Dome. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
3 of the Pelicans' next 5 games are against the Suns. 2 of them in New Orleans. The first 2 of them are in New Orleans. Mario, your job here is to track down Playboy Marty. We got to find Playboy Marty, the biggest Suns fan that has ever worked in this building. 3 games in the next 5, or it's Suns, Jazz, Suns. So we're gonna find out real quick how the Pels match up with. Well, I expect Phoenix to be around. I don't know that Utah can sustain what they've done so far. Although last night's game was that a miracle? Did they steal that thing from the Warriors in the last 13 seconds? Are you kidding me? I mean, that was an unbelievable flurry in the final 13 seconds. But I'm not sure Utah can keep this up all year. Phoenix, yes. So we're going to find out about that. Yeah, find Playboy Marty. See where he is. See where he's lurking around. We got to talk to that guy. All right, right now we got to talk to this guy, Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. Mike, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, Charlie. How are you?
Fantastic. Your early read on the transfer portal and LSU, the guys that have gone out, and what you know about the guys that they are kind of targeting as we head into bowl preps to maybe bring in and be a part of this class.
Well, I think what we're seeing is probably what we expected, or maybe if you're an LSU fan, hope for. That they're pretty darn organized as far as making an impression on the roster to not do anything rash and to sit down and have these exit meetings and before you get in the portal, have a conversation. And I know several of them have been with parents involved and in the room across the desk from Brian Kelly. But so far, what we've seen go in the portal is really what we expected. And I don't know that LSU's numbers are going to look like other schools across the league just because of what the numbers on the roster were. But then when you get into guys like Jaquel and Roy, that are kind of in that gray area, what do they end up doing? And so I think we wait to see on them. But I think based on some of the things we picked up this week that I fully expect both Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier to be back. And so that's where all the rumors and stuff have been taking place as far as the quarterback position this week.
I think that there's a real good chance that that's exactly how it's going to go down, Mike. Things change, but right now, man, to keep all your quarterbacks this day is a tough thing to do because there's only so many reps to go around. So I think even the most optimistic LSU person would have said, listen, when you go into spring of 2023, one of these guys is not going to be here. So you got a full quarterback room and one coming in the signing class, which is great. It does provide for a good problem to have, but how you get everybody enough reps to make them happy?
Yeah, and so when Jaden Daniels got in the portal last spring and Brian Kelly and the staff saw him, they called and talked to Jamie Howard and to let him know, look, we're going to go after Jaden Daniels, but this is a one-year proposition. And that was what Jaden Daniels' plans were when he came to LSU, play 1 year and go pro. And now with NIL and possible draft grade and where he thinks he'll get picked, and I think also probably enjoying the time in Baton Rouge and this team, it looks like he's coming back. And so, so then it also makes me wonder if Nussmeier hadn't had the second half that he had, and you can kind of look at that second half in multiple ways, but I think he sees it as a big success. I thought, he was a guy that if Daniels came back would definitely be in the portal, and so that's not the case at all. He's excited and thinks he can win the job in the spring. So that's where the Walker Howard rumor started earlier in the week, and it's not that he wants to leave or is unhappy. It's just a math problem. You can't, after being on the scout team and which is on the other side of the field. And I think maybe there was a couple of practices, where he got to be with the team. Certainly when Daniels is hurt, and I expect that'll be in the coming week or so with bowl practice. But I think that's where the problem is. It's just the math. It's a number of plays that you can get with the twos and any reps that you might get with the ones. And so who do you give those to? And so I don't know that you can't blame a kid for not wanting the same allocation of reps that he had the previous year and it not be any different the following year, particularly a five-star quarterback who's a part of a great class with multiple close friends who in Campbell and Emery and all those who have been starters and are freshman All-Americans.
Yeah, it's going to be it's something – like I said, it's a good problem to have, but it's one that I didn't really anticipate for him. Jaden Daniels, by the way, Mel Kiper updated his rankings for the draft, and for the moment, he's still including Daniels as a guy that is going to be on the board because he considers him at least eligible for the draft at this point. His quarterback rankings go like this: Will Levis, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels at number 5. So Levis, Young, and Stroud are going to be high first-round picks. Anthony Richardson, you're going to get a wide range of opinions on him. But given what, Kiper is saying, and Kiper's not, the be-all and get-all, but he's pretty good. He's got Daniels ahead of Hendon Hooker in his draft rankings. Now, Hooker's coming off the injury, I get it. But that's pretty heady stuff. He's got him over guys that, had excellent college seasons like Bo Nix and Max Duggan, Stetson Bennett, who I don't really think is going to be an NFL quarterback. But point being that the 4 guys in front of Daniels on this quarterback list right now are all going to be high picks. And if you're Daniels and you say, man, look, if I come back for one more year and I have another year like this, how high can I go? My guess is that based on Kiper's rankings today, that Daniels would probably be somewhere in a second-day pick, probably in the second or third round. But he could come back and he could do a lot better than that.
Man, I'm not trying to say that Jaden Daniels isn't a talent or anything like that. I just feel like if a guy's been playing college football for 4 years and whatever his negatives are, that's pretty much baked in the cake by now, don't you think?
Well, no, I don't.
Don't you think he is what he is right now?
No, I disagree, and I would point to Hendon Hooker as evidence of that. Hooker was nowhere near the quarterback that he became at Tennessee when he was at Virginia Tech. He got to Tennessee. He had a really, really good first year and what was almost a Heisman second year. So, no, not entirely. I think that there is room for growth.
By the way, Jaden Daniels is the MVP of the football team. They're 6-6 without him.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
But if you're talking about an upset wide receiver room in 2022, how much happier are they going to be in 23?
He's got to throw the football. When he throws the football, he's fine. We've been through this. If he lets it go, he's got a great chance to move the ball down the field. He has plenty of arm. I don't think he makes a lot of bad decisions when he throws it. In other words, I don't think he throws into a lot of coverages. I don't think he makes a lot of bad reads. His problem is that he holds on to the ball too long, and balls that should be away and out of his hands sometimes get stuck. I think that's a correctable thing. I think you can get better at that. So we'll see on the quarterback room. Let's talk about this weekend and the visits coming in. And what you're expecting as LSU goes to round out this class?
Well, I think obviously you have the commitments that are going to be there. Caleb Jackson, Lance Hurd, Dylan Carpenter from Santa Maria, who I got to see in his last regular season game, and I think he's special. The breakaway linebacker from Cy Ranch in Cypress, Texas, Tyree Adams from St. Aug. But I think the Kai Pring from St. James and Stamps from Rummel. But I think the two focus guys are Kamarian Pimpton from Fort Worth, Texas, the Vanderbilt commit tight end, and the other tight end, Jackson McGowan from Miamisburg, Ohio, that was committed to Cincinnati and decommitted, and that is trending very heavily LSU. So you see Denbrock making the rounds. He was with that kid last night up in Ohio, and everybody wants to talk about Morlock, the kid from Shorter University. They got an offer from LSU, and everybody's trying to get. So you can see why Cole Taylor got in the portal this morning.
Yeah, and they're down to, I believe, at this point, Mason Taylor is the only tight end on the roster as of right now. But they're going to fix that in quick order. I would say going to be an interesting couple of weekends before we get to National Sign Day. See how LSU fills out this class. Mike, as always, we appreciate what's coming up on TigerBait.com.
We just got a lot of recruiting coverage, player personnel coverage. We got a running thread of what's the ins and outs there, portal. And so I'm manning the message board day and night on TigerBait.com.
Mike, as always, we appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Charlie, thanks.
Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. We'll take a break. Oleh Kosel from the Bird Rights will be with us when we return. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Right now, 3.9% APR for 60 months on most of the models on the lot. And on your MDX and your TLX, $1,000 in loyalty cash. 2-year, 24,000-mile complimentary scheduled maintenance on all 2023 models. If you're worried about inventory, don't. Large certified pre-owned selections, some 7 years or 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, roadside assistance, first scheduled maintenance is free. I've enjoyed my buying experience at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge every time I've been there because I'm treated like family. Transparency in pricing. What can be at times a very stressful procedure is anything but that at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. So check them out as they're closing out 2022. It's Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law.
It's Hunt. Join me 1 to 3 on Thursday. Luke Johnson stops by to talk about the black and gold, and we keep diving into that transfer portal. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Podcast, the Handycast, we posted a little bit later on today. We've got some picks for you coming up this week. And got to diversify a little bit. We can't just go all college football. There's only one college football game on tomorrow. It's Army-Navy. You think the under? This is a wild pick. It's not exactly a hot take, right? Under in the Army-Navy game. Love watching the pageantry of the Army-Navy game. Hester's up there. I'm kind of jealous. He's going to get to go to the game. New Orleans Pelicans won their 5th straight game last night against the Pistons, 104-98. They haven't won 5 in a row since 2018. They haven't been in first place in the Western Conference since 2008. I got that stat. You think I went and looked that up? No, Oleh Kosel went and looked that up, and I'm just doing the audio version of retweeting that. Oleh, how you doing today?
How do you think I'm doing? I'm doing fantastic. I mean, think about this. Just a year ago, December 8th, 2021, the Pelicans were in last place in the Western Conference, and now you look at the standings, they're in first. Incredible.
24 games is a pretty good, a pretty decent sample size. I mean, it's December and we got to go to April, just before the playoffs start. But what they have accomplished is you're worst to first. I mean, in a year, it's absolutely amazing. So let's talk about what they've been able to do in the absence. This, to me, is what is kind of amazing. They've been able to do this in the absence of Brandon Ingram, and the absence of Herb Jones, and the absence of multiple other players for, a game here, 2 games there. The depth, and now they may have to, spend some time without Jose Alvarado. I'll let you update us on that. But the depth on this team is so impressive, Ollie.
Yeah, it's probably the most spectacular thing outside of Zion Williamson's sudden renaissance on defense. Because, look, in today's NBA, load management is the thing. It's a given that almost everybody's going to miss 20 games. So how do you win those games when you've got your best players sitting? On the past, the Pelicans, obviously, they lost those games. They had Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, but really nobody that you could rely on. And even just a few years ago, right? J.J. Redick, Josh Hart. But after those guys, there was nobody that you could rely upon if you were Stan or Alvin or even Willie Green at times last year. Suddenly, you've got basically 12 players that can play and deserve minutes. I mean, look at what Najee Marshall did yesterday. It was the Najee Marshall game. 2 nights ago, it was the Jose Alvarado game where he dropped 38 on the Nuggets. So each night, it's seemingly somebody else. So in addition to what you're getting out of Zion, you're getting these role players stepping up. And you're right. Brandon's missed like 8 or 9 games. Herb, like 5 or 6. And even Zion missed 5 games, let's not forget. And this is the biggest one for me, Charles. CJ has not looked like CJ McCollum that we know, right? He's been in the league 10 years, and he's normally very dependable. But he's had a couple of illnesses, so they've knocked him down. So we really haven't even seen anything close to the best from him, even though he's been on a court often.
I'll tell you who's picked it up, though. Trey Murphy. These shooting percentages are all-star, all-star-ish. 48% from the field, 41% from three-point range, and I didn't realize this till last night when they said it on the broadcast, but he is the number 1 free throw shooter in the NBA. He's shooting 96% from the line. That's pretty good. So where CJ maybe hasn't been shooting the ball as well as you would expect, Trey Murphy couldn't be shooting the ball any better.
Right. But, that was his hallmark, right, coming out of Virginia in his lone year there after a couple of years at Rice. He was known as supposed to be a 50-40-90 guy. And we didn't see it last year, but we start seeing, the shot towards the end of the season, right? He helped win that big game against the Clippers in the play-in tournament. And there was other instances, but that consistency, it wasn't there. But now it is. And it's only taken a few months. So this growth, just not from Trey, but from everybody, has been just incredible. I mean, Charles, can you ever recall seeing, just not even in New Orleans, how often this happens in the NBA, where a team gets all these young guys, and you hope to mold the team around a star or two, but it usually takes at least a couple of years. Well, it seems like the Pelicans have done it overnight, and, Trey Murphy heads that list. And remember, he should be a reserve, right? If everybody's healthy, he should be coming off the bench along with Jose. So it's just been incredible. Good basketball all around.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to do that. Murphy too. And you threw out that 50-40-90, 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, 90% from the line. That's all NBA territory. In any given year, you might have 1 or 2 guys that get those numbers. Now, again, we're talking about 24 games. I understand, but just that sample size with Murphy is unbelievable. Let me ask you about Marshall. Because the play last night with Zion was the second time in a week that the big guy's been taken down to the floor. They called DeAndre Jordan for the flagrant earlier in the week. They did not last night, but Marshall went over to make sure that his presence was felt. I'm calling him the enforcer. So you tell me. It just, to me, Ollie, what it spoke was how close-knit this team is, and Zion saying after the game, man, that's my guy. He's going to look out for me.
Yeah, that might be the most special thing about this group, is how much they really enjoy each other's company. And we saw that going back to last year. I had Pelicans staffers last training camp talking about how they've never seen a locker room this close-knit together. And even though they got to that slow start, it didn't shake the foundation. And I think that's the biggest reason why they were able to have such a remarkable turnaround, right, and eventually get into the playoffs, is because these guys are spending every waking moment together, on and off the court. And I think that's really the driver in today's game. Those teams that have that type of chemistry, it ignites the talent. And I think we're seeing that every night, right? Somebody is making a momentum-changing play or two, and suddenly the whole team follows. So Najee Marshall's at the head of the list, and you're right to call him the enforcer. I think a month ago he had talked about how Brandon Ingram and Jose were getting pushed around. He says, that's not going to happen on my watch, and we saw it last night. Even though it wasn't anything really overtly malicious, it's the fact that opponents are now honestly trying to be overly physical with Zion, right? They're wrapping him up like a football tackle because they know they can't stop him otherwise. And, that could lead to an injury. But more importantly, that's your superstar. So it's great to see teammates standing and having his back. And Zion really appreciated what Najee did for him last night.
Let's talk about Jose Alvarado for a second because it was a scary moment last night. It looked like when he left the court, I'll be honest with you, watching the broadcast, I thought he had broken a rib, maybe even two with that, with what he took. Now, the good news was that the x-rays came back negative for the break. I know you guys are heading into practice here in about 15, 20 minutes or so, but what do you know about Jose? He was back on the bench and he was cheering, so that's encouraging. What else do you know about Jose before they start practice?
Yeah, I thought the same thing right when I saw it happen too. You know, when Jose winces like that and goes to the ground and the whole team surrounds him on the court, it's serious. But fortunately, nothing was broken, and they're calling it a deep contusion. So it remains to be seen if he'll miss any time. You've got to believe, right, with 2 games coming up against the Suns and a chance to go up against Chris Paul, Jose's going to want to play, and he may be able to, right? He's very resilient, and he's that type of guy that will withstand pain to go out there and help his teammates. But you're right. We're going to get an update soon, but I'm going to assume that he's probably going to be listed as questionable, and that's all going to depend on how he feels actually tomorrow, right before game time.
Ollie, I guess this was born out of the restrictions around the pandemic, but it's something that the schedulers in the NBA have stayed on with, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of like it, which is these back-to-back games against the same team. I didn't think I would like that, but I've actually kind of come around on it a little bit. So it stands now that over the next week and 9 days, that the Pels will play the Phoenix Suns 3 times and the Utah Jazz twice in the first 2 of those games. The reason I like it, and you can kind of tell me whether you do or not, is it's like simulates a mini playoff series. So, hey, Phoenix was number 1 until Boston demolished them last night. Now the Pels are number 1. This is 1 versus 2. So tell me how you see the matchup.
Yeah, the Pelicans have some chance, right, to gain some actual separation in the Western Conference if they, say win 4 of their next 5. As you mentioned, 3 Suns, 2 against the Jazz, and they figure out a way just to win 4 of those. They're certainly going to be probably a game, at least game and a half, probably ahead of the pack. And you're right. I love this because for the players, it's a fantastic experience. And for the coaching staff, they get to adjust on the fly. And it's really difficult to do it within games, making any major changes, but you can after a game. So it really does. It's a perfect simulation for the playoffs. And we've got to think this team, this is exactly what they need because we're fully expecting now for this team to make the playoffs. But now you want to see a deep run. And that's where, honestly, good adjustments by a coaching staff can make a difference in an entire series. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope they figure out some things because the Phoenix Suns, they're going to be just as ready and amped up for this game as the Pelicans are.
There is a downside to it, just to be balanced here. They play the Phoenix Suns 3 times in the next 9 days. They don't play them again. So if you do see this team in the playoffs, it will have been a long time since you have played against them. So it's a trade-off I'm willing to make. But like I said, just in the interest of balance, there is something that you got to give up.
Yeah, Charles, my biggest thing is, say the Pelicans weren't playing well, and suddenly you're going into, a mini series of 3 meetings in 9 days. Well, suddenly that's almost, you're staring at 3 L's, and you're not going to learn anything, and it's going to drop you further in the standings. So fortunately for the Pelicans, they've won 5 in a row, and even though they're not fully healthy, they seem to be playing their best ball. And you know what it's been? It's been their defense. Since that I think it's the first 10 games where they went 5-5. Since that time, they've had the best defense in the entire league, and it's not even particularly close, right? I think they have 3 points per possession better than anybody else, and that includes somebody like the Celtics, another top defensive team. So this is a good test. So I'm looking forward to it, but it's worked out. You're right, because it could have been just a different scenario where they're limping into a series, and fortunately they're not.
So what would you say right now is the biggest, besides getting everybody back in the lineup and healthy, the biggest source of concern for Willie Green is right now? What you've been really good. You're good enough to be in first place. So obviously things are going really well. What's your biggest source of concern, area you would like to improve the most moving forward?
I think there's 3 you could probably name off the top of your head. One, the fact that the regular starting lineup, they've only spent 10 games together. So you want them to get as much on-the-court chemistry because, look, all that offensive talent, you've got to figure out a way to make it work because there's only one ball. I think the reason why we've seen them perform so well is because they have enough good pieces around a superstar or 2 that has been available. But when you've got all 3 stars in CJ, Brandon, and Zion, and then you're trying to figure out where Trey's going to get his shots and everybody else, I think that's what they need to figure out. And the other two things that kind of concern me is, one, the Pelicans' three-point defense, while they're keeping opponents' conversion rates low, they're giving up a lot of them. And when you think about it, a lot of it's been luck-based, right? They're still giving up a lot of opponent three-point attempts, but fortunately they haven't been converting them. And you just got to think, we've seen it in past years where opponents will get hot, and there's nothing you can do about it. Kind of like what the Celtics did in the matchup against the Pels a few weeks ago, where they just blew out their doors in the first quarter. And that's what I'm afraid of moving forward if teams start getting, just a little bit more good fortunes their way. And lastly, they just don't have that rim defense like you want out of a contender, right? Like, for instance, Boston, even though they haven't had him yet, they've got Robert Williams. And you look at other top teams like Joel Embiid with the Sixers, even Kevon Looney with the Warriors. They have very switchable, great defenders near the rim that are going to dissuade you as the last line of defense. Pelicans don't have that. Fortunately, as a group, they're keeping guys out of the lane, and that's all credit due to the Herbs, the Jose's for keeping their guys out of the lane, including Dyson Daniels. But if somebody gets past them, well, Jonas, he's not a shot blocker. Same thing with Billy Hernan-Gomez. And unfortunately, Jackson Hayes, he's probably been the only and largely the biggest disappointment on this team, because he was supposed to fill that role, but he hasn't.
Yeah, it's disappointing because he's exactly what you want. You look at him and you see flashes, and you see a young version of Tyson Chandler. If he would, that's what I envisioned that he would be, and he has not been that. But hey, if that's all we got to complain about, we're in pretty good shape. Oleh, we appreciate the time. I'll be stay tuned on the birdsrights.com for all the Pelican stuff. Going to be a fun weekend, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Charles, and take care.
Oleh Kosel from the Bird Rights. Realize they got a first round pick that's playing in the G League. I mean, a guy that was top half of the first round guy, and Kyra Lewis. They're trying to get him back from injury. Man, they got pieces. They got draft picks. Unfortunately, the Lakers have decided to win a few games. But last night, did Anthony Davis play there?
He did not. Nor did LeBron.
Yes. They skipped the trip to Toronto. Didn't want to go. Didn't want to go north of the border and play last night. That's a shame. Davis, when he plays, really, really good. Doesn't play all the time, though, does he?
What's our vector, Victor?
Yep. We're sliding, but hey, it's still pretty good. We'll take a break, come back, take some of your questions out of the chat. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Our friends over at Big Mike's with live music tonight, Billy Harris, and on Saturday, Electric Rendezvous at Big Mike's on Aspen in Denham Springs. You get gift cards, holiday gift cards for you from Big Mike's. If you purchase $30 in gift cards, you're going to get $5 off your next visit. If you purchase $50, you're going to get $10, and if it's $100, you're going to get $20 off your next visit. So help out people in your life that you want to give them a little something extra at Christmas time. Holiday gift cards from Big Mike's. Make a nice gift. You can book a still room for some Christmas parties. You can book at Big Mike's, and catering is available if you want to take and have your party off-site. Have Big Mike's cater it. They'll take care of that for you as well. Sundays, happy hour all day long. Happy hour prices all day long for the NFL and for the Saints, even though they're off this weekend. Might need a break right now. Big Mike's, part of the fabric of Denham Springs on Aspen at Big Mike's. Kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
Let's go, defense!
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
We get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. we have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz winter event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Former Tiger Glenn Logan stops by. We'll visit with Paul Nolan, Mike Triplett, our Fantasy Blitz. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In the chat, they want to know if I've ever eaten chestnuts. I gotta say no. I don't think so. Walnuts, peanuts, cashew nuts, but not walnuts. Don't think. Ask Kenny, do you have John Curtis in the finals? I don't. I have not seen. I'd be lying if I said I saw any high school football this year, other than just some highlights here and there. Probably the first time in a long time that I didn't attend at least one game. Schedule just fell that way. So anything I told you about it would be me just, making it up, and I'm not going to do that. So I do know it's been a minute for John Curtis as far as state titles. I think it's been, 4 or 5 years?
It's been a minute for their opponent, which is my alma mater, Brother Martin.
Well, then you may intelligently speak on this, Mario.
Yes.
Okay, give me the scoop. What we got?
So what I know is Brother Martin played him in the semifinals 3-4 years ago, and John Curtis won by 3 touchdowns. So there's definitely a revenge angle there. But it's a big deal for Brother Martin. It's their first time in the state championship final since 1978 or something along those lines. Should be a good game.
Okay. Good to know. Ask Hanny, if you ever left Guarantee, would you take a shot at Gordy in a tweet? This is in response to Dylan Johnson yesterday, the running back from Mississippi State, who is leaving to go into the transfer portal. It's a lot of, the frilly stuff at the beginning that is normal, thanks to my teammates, et cetera. But at the end it says, with all that being said, since I'm not very tough and Leach is glad I'm leaving, I'll be entering my name into the transfer portal. This is the kind of thing that it's funny when it happens to somebody else. Okay. Not so funny if you are, if that's your program. I can hear Leach saying something like that. You're not very tough. But by the way, he had a decent Egg Bowl. He had 90 something yards total offense or whatever. So it's not like this is somebody down the bench that wasn't playing at all. But you can tell when somebody's rubbed somebody the wrong ways, and I don't think you're very tough. Get out of here. Okay, well, then I'm going to do. Like I said, it's really funny when it's somebody else. So I don't know. That's a first, okay? Because I just figure that a lot of these things are press releases written by somebody. Say, listen, write something up, and we'll put it out. I've never seen one like that. All right, tonight, Jimmy Ott's Game Time will be at Jolie Pearl at 6:00 tomorrow. Hanny Time will get started with Jimmy Ott's Game Time at 10 a.m. from Rufino's. John Brady be with us tomorrow. We'll preview LSU basketball back on the court. They're going to Atlanta to play Wake Forest. The break for finals is over. For Mario Jerez, for Taylor Sharp, I'm Charles Henniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Now, if you're having problems with staffing, business owners are having problems with staffing. It's a time-consuming and often frustrating process. No-show interviews, unqualified applicants, background checks that take a long time, payroll expenses that go along with it, onboarding. Man, listen, it can be extremely frustrating. Let Tiger Labor and Staffing take care of all of this for you. They'll handle your interview process, do all of your screening and training, and all of your onboarding as well. So if you need somebody temporarily, a day, a week, or a month, you get to control your labor expenses through Tiger Labor and Staffing. You get to increase your flexibility. You may need somebody just seasonally here during the holiday seasons. If you're in that business, they'll get you the employees that you need, and you lower your employment risk. The attempt to hire option is only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. If you're looking for a job, Tiger Labor and Staffing welcomes skilled and unskilled labor. They'll match you with a job that fits, and there's quick turnarounds on pay. Get your work done without the worries. Tiger Labor and Staffing just begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.